The motorcycle Specter. It was early on a Friday morning, and I had just gotten off a 12-hour shift and was following my regular driving routine, when I came up on a very short cycling light that had two turn lanes. I normally like to stay to the inside lane, as some people try to outrun you and cut you off so they don't have to wait in line while making a left turn in a double lane. The light changed to green, and I continued forward with my signal on and made my left turn. It's a two-lane road, but there are three lanes to accommodate the vehicles that are making U-turns underneath the freeway. They give them a couple of 100 feet of expansion, and eventually the third lane fades back into the other two. As I continued down the feeder in the left lane, I began to hear a motorcycle engine winding up in the distance. It got louder and louder the closer it came. I could tell it was moving at a quick speed because the sound was approaching rapidly. I was traveling at the speed limit of 50 miles an hour, and he passed me like I was standing still. Moving past me, he began to accelerate even faster, to well over 100 miles an hour. Then something tragic and disturbing happened. The motorcycle rider was going so fast, he began to wobble. I realized he was not going to be able to adjust his speed or regain control of his steering in time. His front tire caught the curb of the feeder road, which sent him airborne, headed directly for an illuminating pole. An illuminating pole is the style of a telephone pole, only reinforced with aluminum for use as a conduit, as it is usually used for street lighting or freeway overhead lights. The pole is usually reinforced with concrete or steel and bolted to a concrete slab, so it is extremely stationary. I watched in horror as the motorcycle leapt into the air and drove directly into the illuminating pole. There was a crashing sound, and nothing but sparks and dust emitted from underneath the cloud of debris that he had become. As I approached the scene, I didn't even want to look at this mangled carnage left behind by such a cataclysmic impact. Just as I approached the crash, I felt a hand on my shoulder, shaking me as if it were retrieving me from a trance. I shook my head and began to focus on the site where the motorcycle hit the pole. To my amazement, there was nothing. No debris, no smoke, no mechanical parts, not a scratch on the pole from the impact. As I regained my focus, I realized I was about to reach my entrance on the freeway. As I began to navigate the entrance ramp, I looked to my left and noticed an unfamiliar sight from my regular route. There was a white cross in the ground, in the median. At the top of the cross was a motorcycle helmet. It was almost exactly adjacent to the pole position across the street. I don't know if he was trying to show me what happened and I was the only one in the path, or what the issue was. Now I drove slowly up the ramp, watching for traffic, carefully with my head on a swivel. The disturbing image kept playing over and over with the loud clang of the impact when it hit the pole. It got so bad, every night I tried to close my eyes and go to sleep. The image returned. No matter what dream I had, there was always the precursor of this image. that flashed in my mind and ultimately was the only thing I could remember from a dream once I woke up. I avoided that same route for months, but the dreams were relentless. So one morning, upon my departure, I decided to revisit the route. It was early in the morning. I put my flashers on my car and stepped out next to the cross and approached it. I noticed there was a steel nameplate in the center of the cross with the name Gabriel Gonzalez and a rosary hanging from the top section of the cross. I kissed my hand and pressed it against the rosary. I told Gabriel, "I hope you find peace in your sleep and that you grant me the same." I returned to my car and drove home. I never had the dream again. Rest well, my friend. R.I.P. Gabriel.